A couple weeks ago, I recorded a video entitled Never Forget, Never Forgive. I think it was more like 3 weeks ago, actually. In that video, I discussed how, with the seeming relaxing of certain laws, certain mandates, at least in this part of the world, how the powers that be, the psychopaths, the sadists, the tyrants and would-be tyrants and petty tyrants who pushed these unconstitutional, draconian mandates and such, how they are basically not even offering any kind of about face, not even offering any kind of explanation that makes any sense. The closest that they've come to explaining themselves is by sending one of their flacks out to say the science has changed or something like that. But that's bullshit. We all know that that's bullshit. It's simply that the op has run its course. But I was saying in that video, we should never forget and never forgive the ones who spearheaded these efforts, the ones who have blood on their hands, the ones who, caused so many people to lose their jobs, caused so many people to have to close down, bringing the full weight of the law against them, who caused so many suicides, and who are also responsible for people suffering these terrible side effects, including death from a certain procedure that was mandated during this time period, and we're not going to get any kind of apology from them. And if we got an apology from them, it would not be a sincere apology. It would just be a cover my ass kind of thing. So again, never forgive, never forget. But today I want to consider a different group, and this whole thing came to mind when I came across this meme, which was very powerful. And I'm not going to be able to remember the exact wording of it here, but it said something like, "You say stand with Ukraine, but you couldn't even stand with your co-workers, your friends, or even your family." And of course, what it's making reference to is the sort of people, not the ones who are in charge, not the flunkies or the flacks. Or anyone connected to the power elite, but those normal, ordinary, everyday people who, just out of a thirst to conform and to virtue signal, absolutely turned their backs on their fellow citizens in the worst, most egregious kind of way, and called them grandma killers, called them fanatics, called them anti-vaxxers, said they should be expelled from polite society, because they didn't want to get this experimental procedure in order to keep their job, as a prerequisite for them keeping their job. These kind of people, who again are not the powerful people, but just the ones who go along with it, the conformists who went along with the COVID op. Now, I'm not including in their number, everyone and anyone who believed the official story, because it was possible to believe the official story and still treat others with humanity and not just have a hissy fit if somebody's walking through the grocery store with their mask pulled down over their nose or something like that. But I am talking about those who just did everything they could to conform, whether because they were just bludgeoned into this fearful state, successfully bludgeoned into this fearful state, and thus became these enabling creatures who pushed the edicts of these monsters, who in the final analysis, and this has been pointed out many times, basically in many ways destroyed the middle class, destroyed the working poor. From the beginning of this op to its end, to the present, the transfer of wealth from those with very little of it to those who have a ton of it, like the billionaire class, is undeniable. Nobody's denying it. Nobody's saying that it isn't true. They're just the ones who don't want to call attention to it, just don't talk about it. But it is true. And so, what do we do with these kinds of people? The ones who are now, the ones we're tempted to call NPCs or normies. But I would distinguish between, even if we're going to stoop to that level of hitting them with some kind of epithet or other, I would draw a distinction, and I've always done this, and I've always been very conscientious, or tried to be very conscientious in doing or saying this, just because I don't think it's fair to lump everyone together. People who believe the official story but still retain some decency and dignity are different from those who believe the official story, go all in, and decide to become snitches and hall monitors, and to essentially become bootlickers of the powers that be, who are pushing these unconstitutional draconian edicts. And now they turn on a dime, and because they're so easily manipulated by the propaganda machine, now it's all about Ukraine. So now they're putting up signs on their social media, the Ukrainian flag, and saying "Stand with Ukraine," and the question, the rhetorical question that was asked in this meme was, why can you say how can you say "stand with Ukraine" when you can't even stand with, over the last 2 years, you haven't even been able to stand with your fellow citizens, your friends, your co-workers, even in some cases your family. You're willing to cut off people that you were friends with because they didn't want to get the experimental injection, the hot beef injection. What about those people? Should we forgive or forget what they have done? I don't think so. Now, these people are less culpable in the sense that they're not anyone with power. It's only the power elites who have the authority, or I don't want to say authority because I don't believe they legitimately have any such authority, but they arrogate to themselves the authority to tell us we have to do these things. But what about those of us, who have dissented or who have asked questions, who have not gone along with this nonsensical narrative that they've been pushing for the last 2 years, with its numerous contradictions, and in any case, those of us who are aware that constitutional guarantees to life, liberty, right to protest, right to assemble, and so forth are not revoked just because somebody somewhere says this is an emergency. We declare an emergency situation here. The Reichstag is on fire, therefore everything. Parliament is dissolved forever. We declare we declare this a pandemic. Therefore, until further notice, you must abide by these rules, and we have to close everything down. We have to close your businesses down, force things over your faces, force experimental medicine upon you, etc., and so on. You get what I'm saying. Should we forget or forgive these people? Well, I think, to me, these people showed their true faces, and normally I would be a lot more indulgent of just normal, ordinary Joes, who don't really have any power of their own accord, but who still give themselves permission to behave extremely nastily, and in order to feel good about themselves, in order to get others to give them a pat on the back or pat on the head, rather. Let's say a pat on the head, because it's more like they're acting like obedient dogs doing their master's commands. Do I feel that we should forgive or forget these people? On a case-by-case basis. Maybe somebody wakes up as if from a nightmare and says, "My God, what have I become? I'm sorry for the way that I treated my friends. I'm sorry for the way that I treated my parents, or the way that I treated my son or daughter, or the way that I treated my fellow citizens, who were perfectly legitimate to ask the questions that they asked, who were perfectly legitimate not to follow these unconstitutional mandates, and shouldn't have had to fear for their livelihood for that, shouldn't have had to have gotten shut down on social media because I snitched on them. I called up the authorities at Facebook and said so and so is promoting something that the fact checkers say is untrue, misinformation. Basically, I loathe and despise these types of people as well, because the only thing that makes them different from the ones who seized the power, and who took advantage of this situation to terrorize and tyrannize the general population. The only thing separating them from their masters is the fact that they are mere voluntary lackeys. I think that in some ways that might make it even less easy to forgive them, because all along they did have a choice. The masters had a choice as well. So I guess, but as far as the masters go, they were putting into effect, they were rolling out something that was part of this collective op, and the fact that they chose to do that makes them damnable in my eyes. But the ones who didn't really know, who weren't insiders, but who still went along with all of the crap, and continue to go along with all of it, all the way through. No, I'm sorry, I can't forgive them either. Can't forgive them, can't forget them either. What do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for watching.